Hey folks, Dude here, coming to you another variation of Dude After Dark. This episode is going to be brought to you by the flavors of Mediterranean goodness, of which I've almost eaten all of it. Anyway, that was something Mrs. Dude did. So anyway, you guys hanging out with me tonight. I see there's some people in the room, so you guys are like really on fire tonight, so good stuff like that there. Curious Entertainment in the chat room right off the bat. Right when I'm at work. Oh well, catch you on the flip side. No problem there, dude. That's why I post this thing up as a video option, so you can watch it in review and see it at your leisure. No questions, no problem, no muss, no fuss. Now, the only downside is essentially when you do post something up on YouTube and it's a live cast, there is some period in time where it goes through the ethers and it takes a little while before it finally posts up, and you guys can watch it and good stuff like that there. So anyway, let me move out smartly and look at it and jump right into my stack of stuff, because, you know, that's just pretty much how I go. I mean, I look at things, I see the way they're going to go, and I simply just jump right in. Just leap right into it. Without a moment's notice. And let me see what I got going on here. Hang on a second. Let me go over to my Gab counts. Oh, dude, talk about jumping into it with both feet. Okay, sound guy, whatever. Anyway, so hang on a second. Hear me adjust something. All right, that might be a little better. All right, so look at this things as it is. There is a Twitter status I put up on my my Gab account. Holy snackies. This is not a guy I would have thought would have been like, you know, exceedingly towards my side of the aisle and maybe like, you know, chiming in and saying something like, you know, really, truly, you know, pretty much like statement that anybody would state. Hang on one second here. I need to take a swig. Anyway, I'm talking about Pink Floyd's bass player, songwriter, that guy. Talking about Roger Waters. Now, I would love for you to hear the video. The problem is I didn't download it, I didn't clean it up, and I didn't like cut out the choice bits. But let's just say that Mark Zuckerberg, and in Roger Waters' own words, he said he offered him an obscene amount of money to use one of his notable, I mean, like most notable songs. And let me see if I can't cheat something real fast here. Hang on a second here. I'm glad I got this muted. Oh my word. Hang on a second here. Let me see if I can't cheat this, because it's actually a Spanish language thing, or it's Portuguese, but it's one of these ones where I'm trying to do it on the fly and my Spanish and Portuguese is not that good. Well, anyway, Roger Waters was offered a huge, and I do mean like unbelievably huge amount of money to use the song Another Brick in the Wall. You know, oh no, we're just another brick in the wall. You know, very notable, huge Pink Floyd song. And the thing about it is, you know, he offered him a huge amount of money to utilize that song. And I do believe that Pink Floyd doesn't really have a blanket statement of you're never going to use our money. You know, our music for money, unless, you know, we really truly like, you know, and they're really one of these places of, you know, we're not going to do it. That's because, you know, we let the art stand on its own. Supposedly Jim Morrison was beyond pissed that the Doors allowed the usage of, you know, Light My Fire. You know, come on, baby, light my fire. And they let Buick use Light My Fire. Come on, Buick, light my fire. Oh, my word. You want to talk about somebody that was hot to trot. Jim Morrison was pissed. How dare you cheapen my music using it like this, blah, 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 blah. Oh, he was hot. Highly irate and not a happy camper. So anyway, long and short essentially was Roger Waters was offered this obscene amount of money, and he was like, you know what, dude, yeah, that's nice, but hang on, so let me find the proper sound effect here. I really, really would love to tell you, but he said essentially you can go cough. And that's about as nice as I could put it. He said, Mark Zuckerberg, you can go cough. And because he wanted it to be used to promote Instagram. Okay, here's the thing. The time when he made these statements telling Mark Zuckerberg to blank off, he was sitting beside Julian Assange. Oh my word. Man, you want to talk about somebody who's now basically stated themselves in the partisan aspect of which side of the aisle they find themselves. Holy crap. Sitting beside Julian Assange, and you just told Mark Zuckerberg, bazillionaire that he is, to go get stuffed. I could not do it justice, folks. I cannot do it justice. If you want to talk about, like, you know, the best phrasing, place, and situation in which to put these things out there, wow, that bam, that was it. So anyway, you know, it was just one of those things. I would dearly love to play you this, but unfortunately I cannot. And it was a tweet from La Jornada Online, which is basically the journal. You know, I think it's a Spanish, or it is a hang on a second here. La Jornada. I'm gonna have to now find out who has that newspaper. Hang on a second here. Let's see. Leave that one out. I'm actually really cheating here because I'm trying to do this on the fly on the laptop, which is kind of like I'm looking at like two screens, two keyboards, two mice. So it gets a little twisted up for dyslexics such as myself. But I'm going to cheat this real fast and see if I can figure out who's who and what's what. So La Jornada is a Mexican newspaper. Okay, now if you want to talk about somebody that's basically going to put the whole thing out there about, Chingavate? Yeah, I think that was it. Chingavate. So I could say that because that's Spanish. That's like, when the English come over here, they're like, my word, you said bollocks on television. It's like, bollocks doesn't mean anything to us, dude. But, the C word, like, see you in Toledo, that one's just a little bit off the mark. We can't quite say that one on normal public television. But you guys can curse like sailors, man. It's like, anytime you see like a British television show, they curse. I mean, it's not even like a question. They curse. It's not even like a big thing. And you would think as, elevated and, old school as the Brits are, that would be one of those things where like, yeah, well, we'll just silence that component therein and we won't allow the naughty words to pass through. Unfortunately, in the United States, we get the 7 dirty words, man. You're not going to get that one out there. I mean, there's a couple now that have been allowed. Yeah, and I really can't go into great detail, but the 7 dirty words from George Carlin still really aren't allowed. But there are certain instances where you can, with proper setting, you can utilize some of the words. And of that one, I shall not proceed any further. But, the phrase in Mexican Spanish that I just used is basically like, sawed off in the most unnice way you could possibly say it. So scrolling. I don't even want to touch on the holiday that they foisted upon us within like 2 weeks. I mean, this thing about June 19th, and I'm not even going to call it what they called it. Okay, June 19th, which essentially was the day of the abolition of slavery. It's been one of these things that's been like so underneath the radar that nobody really even talked about. Not even like people in the black community has even really mentioned it. And I converse and I deal with a lot of people from a lot of parts of the city. So that's not even anything that really came up where they were going, oh yeah, man, this day in question, this one needs to come up. We need to all talk about it. And it's that important. Somebody's texting me. Anyway, so essentially that day in question is now a federal holiday, but I find it really striking that anytime that the government predisposes themselves to doing anything, It is a long, arduous process to make anything happen. And I'm going very Sean Connery there. But it's a long, hard process to make them do anything. And when it comes time for them to come up with some politically motivated holiday, it happens fast. And it happens so fast, everybody's like, where did that even come from? Now, in Black culture, I really, truly haven't heard these guys talking about it at all. And it's been like, I'm really nose to the grindstone, a lot of news sourcing and whatnot. And this is kind of one of those out from left field things where they're like, oh, yeah, this would be a good holiday to put in place here, show further, apologies towards that timeline in our history. I don't have a problem with that at all. The problem I have, though, is the way that the government did do it. I mean, it was just a case of nothing. All of a sudden, bam, federal holiday. Here you go. It's like, what? Wait, whoa. Where's the process involved in this? Well, we said it is, so we just basically put it in place. What? That's like saying you're basically sitting around a house and everybody just comes in with big bags of food, sits down and starts eating, and you're like, I didn't even know you guys were making a food run. So it's kind of almost like one of these deals where the general public in the United States pretty much had something thrown at them from left field, and they were like, wow, man, where did this even come from? So the holiday itself, it's now a federal holiday. I mean, it's bringing hopefully some conclusion to some people and their status therein of seeing the government further apologizing for our history. That's all fine and good. I got no issues with that. The problem, though, I have is the process that the government did where they just did it. It was like no rhyme or reason, just bam, from left field. Let's see. Scroll. This one is interesting. This is, of course, coming in from Texas, Governor Abbott. And there is a few Governor Abbott stories where he truly is showing himself to be one of those guys that just, he's a leader. He's basically in the, what is it? 1, 2, 3. They're either number 2 or number 3 in terms of the most GDP per state in the union. They're not a small state. And I tend to think that really, truly, that Texas needs to shrug off some of the burden, some of the mandates, and, of course, some of the, you're going to do it this way is to get the tax money back, mandates from the federal government. But essentially what it is now is Abbott is now saying, look, this land that you took for the fence, between the border of the United States and Mexico, that land that you took, you're not doing anything with it. Give it back to us. We will finish the border fence. We'll finish it in such a way that, it'll be built credibly, and we'll take it on the chin to spend the money for it. I think it's like $4 or $5 billion. It's not going to be cheap. But the thing about it is that money that was put towards the fence, which was pretty much like a, kind of a smart move under Trump. What he said was, essentially that, okay, the Congress will not give me the funds to do this. However, under the executive office, I am allowed to jigger monies around in the Defense Department. And considering that this is a border and a sovereignty issue where you have people streaming across the border, and potentially you have situations where foreign nationals of unknown intentions and unknown identity streaming across the border, this is a security issue. We need to get the place safe. So I'm going to jigger around some funds in the Defense Department, and I'll make sure that the fence gets built. Now, of course, when new administration comes in, they're like, oh, no. I got to do Thor's hammer. We're going to stop this right now. And, of course, it'll be a situation where we have a new direction, and we're going to run things like this. So seeing how things are now being readjusted, and Texas is like, look, give us the land back, man. You're not doing anything with it. And the situation they're in is that Abbott is saying, look, if we need to go to court for this, we'll sue. We'll sue. And so essentially, let me see if I can't find a better link on this. This is from patriotjournal.com. And it says a direct order. Governor Abbott told Joe to return all land the feds took to build the wall. Whoever needs a Biden administration to do one thing first, sent the letter this week, and very clear demand. Abbott isn't looking for federal funds. So in other words, they're going to pay for it. Instead, Abbott wants something back. The land federal government seized to build the wall in the first place, argues that they should no longer have it, and Biden has suspended construction. Okay, they're holding land that was formerly Texas. And it becomes a state sovereignty thing where you have the federal government seizing property, doing nothing with it and saying, yeah, we're still going to hold this. It's like, it's an empty lot, guy. What are you doing? You have people like running right across. So anyway, the situation on that one is he sent in the letter, I write now to demand that you immediately return to Texans any land taken by the federal government that's not used for building the border wall. The federal government used condemnation powers to take property from Texans for the purpose of building a border wall. In other words, they condemned a piece of land that had really nothing on it. Once you took office, however, your administration made clear the federal government will not move forward with the building of the border wall at this time. So, essentially, Texas is saying, look, you condemned this land, you took this land, you're not doing anything with this land, give it back. You know, and then, of course, the government will go, well, this is our land. Now, we decided to not do anything at all, and we're just going to hold back and not do squat. Speaking of holding back and not doing squat, old nasty pants Nancy Pelosi lost twice in consecutive issues on the very same day, and the Republicans stopped 2 House Democrat bills she tried to fast track. Hey, that's kind of interesting. Although Democrats maintain control of the House and Senate, this is coming from PatriotJournal.com. The margins remain very small. And that's the other thing, too. I mean, Democrats going on about, oh, we run the House, we run this, we run that. Guys, you got a 5-seat majority. That's not a mandate, okay? And seeing as how I've been seeing articles now, there's a bunch of Democrats who are very much fearing for their livelihood. They're very much fearing for the fact that, well, when it comes around to the 2022 election, the House, the Senate will flip. And there's another story, an adjunct to this that I'm going to get into later, but this one right off the bat, Nasty Pants, really had a little issue here. Let's see. That's why Republicans think they have a good shot at flipping either or both in the 2022 midterm elections. Okay, now, if you look at the stats on the way things work, usually if you have a Republican or a Democrat holding the White House and there's a majority of similar party in the House and Senate, the midterm elections, it flips. Now, the other thing, too, you have to realize is the fact that the Democrats are ramming home a lot of just sketch stuff, and a lot of things are very, very pejorative. A lot of things are very, very partisan. A lot of things that are very counter to the way most Americans actually see the government should be running things. And in so doing, they're turning a lot of people off. As a matter of fact, I've heard like 17 to possibly even more than that % of those people that voted for Joe Biden are regretting that decision. And they're now saying, you know what? If the media was more honest and I heard the full story, I probably wouldn't have voted at all, or I just wouldn't have voted for him. In the meantime, GOP continues battle far left states at every turn. Now, that is huge right there. Now, I've been seeing that there's like this counter-revolution taking place. Very strident, strong personality peoples are now starting to walk into these school running committee, whatever as you wish to call them, and they're challenging them. They're saying, there's critical race theory, this item, that item, all these other things I find to be counter to the way I think my child should be taught. And you don't get to dictate to me how my kids should be learning because I pay your salary. The big question I got is this. Did I put it up? Yeah, I did put it up right. I got that reverse image thing in the mirror, the mirror thing in the camera, and it's kind of making me go, did I put the flag up upside down or something? Anyway. So looking at that as it is, people are now starting in the very, very way that the Democrats did years ago. And it was incremental little, nibbles and building their way into the power structure. Truthfully, I would say I am more libertarian / constitutionalist, conservative than I will ever be of a Republican or a Democrat. Now, the main problem, of course, is most people tend to think very similarly. They're socially liberal, but they're fiscally conservative. I don't want to pay for it. The government should be fixing X, Y, Z, but, we shouldn't go broke in the process. And anytime you have like the political parties saying, yeah, let's overextend ourselves. I mean, the United States GDP is $3, not even $4 trillion a year, and they want to spend 8. They want to spend 20. It's unsupportable what these guys are asking for, because no matter how much you spend, eventually the bill will come due. And when it comes time where you start looking at like interest rates, and I did a math thing years and years and years ago, and I was just curious, if you put $1 in your bank account X day, blah, 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 how does it go? And I graphed it. And it went like, kind of slow, kind of slow, kind of slow. Then it hit like about almost like retirement age, and it just went stratospheric. It was like ticking like a few 100,000. And then it hit like a certain saturation point with like, standard APR rates, annual percentage rate. And it just went, well, the problem that you have is anytime you have interest payments and you're paying interest on a dollar amount and you keep growing that dollar amount, it's not like when you bought your car and you said, okay, the car is $20,000 at 8% interest. It's going to cost X amount of dollars, $1,000 a year, whatever it is for interest charges. For a fact that 7 years, it's going to be $7,000 on the price of the car. It'll be $27,000 to pay the whole thing off. Done. But when you have trillions of dollars in debt and you keep compounding that debt, and you keep compounding that debt on top of that debt, and you're trying to keep up with interest charges, say, for $9 trillion in debt, say it's like, $750 billion a year in interest. Well, once you go above like 20 trillion, it's not 15 or 17 trillion, 15 or 7, what was it? 1.5 trillion in interest, or, something along those lines. It's not just you just double the amount of interest, because the interest compounds on itself. The interest compounds on the money. And when you graph it out, it goes from, okay, we're paying this amount to literally stratospheric. To the point where you get to that Cliven thing, I think it is, and you have a situation where the country is destitute. It can't pay off its debts. It is now rendered moot. And anything that you have in the country of any value will be seen as something that the creditors can then take. Now, here's the thing. Possession being 9/10 of the law, I very seriously doubt that the Chinese would go, okay, we hold the notes on this, 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 and this, and we'd like to come in here and just take it over in lieu of your debt load. Yeah, exactly. Patriot Fever says he thinks it's Albert Einstein who said the compound interest is the greatest force in the known universe. Bankers ain't stupid. All right. So anyway, look at those things as it is. It becomes a situation where it becomes completely unsupportable. Got this frog in the throat thing. It becomes completely unsupportable, and you get to a situation where the country literally is just insolvent. Zach, hey, been a follower you should start. Really like the Marlin 60 videos and all the videos of you tinkering on stuff. I think I know who you are, Zach, and I think you might be like the Zach that I know of. Abram, yeah, appreciate you, man. He says then the U.S. turns into an occupied Rhodesia. Well, there's a difference between us and Rhodesia. Just give me 1 second here. The major problem with Rhodesia is it is literally a imperialist, overrun, now semi-oligarchy mess. And we are not like the African countries. I mean, I've talked to Africans, and they're like, yeah, I know, I like the United States. I really wish I was back home. I'm just so sad that my country sucks right now. And literally that's what it is you have the guys that are running the place who are sucking the place dry and letting the country just fall by the wayside. Kind of like the Palestinian guys. Hey, we'll support Hamas. We'll basically make it look bad. We'll throw all kinds of smack at the Jews. And, the Israelis will look like the bad guys, even though we are getting rich in the process and raping, pillaging, and burning our own people. It's bad. It's bad, it's bad, it's bad. Abrams also said that's when it comes to hyperinflation. Well, hyperinflation also invokes something else too. When you have a situation where, a dollar is worth not enough, that's when you simply go, you know what? I'm going to go back to the barter system. Hey, dude, I got an XYZ. You want to trade this XYZ for those? And the guy will go, well, no, hem and haw. And they'll go, yeah, but I really kind of truly needed to make some money off of this because I have to buy some blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, dude, but if you got one of these and it's desirable, you could trade that for, something of what you need. And I remember seeing this one video where a guy literally, I don't remember who the guy was or, what he eventually wound up with, but he started with, of all things, a paperclip. And he bartered his way all the way up to having, I think, a house. it was just absolutely insane. The length, depth, and breadth this guy went to trade item for item and build upon the previous. And I've done barter. I mean, there's a number of times I'm working a gun show or I'm at a gun show and I'm walking around and the guy's like, yeah, well, this, that, and the other thing. It's like, hey, would you be interested in a blah, blah, blah? And the guy's like, yeah, but I really don't want to buy the blah, blah, blah. It's like, all right, I'll tell you what, I'll trade you the blah, blah, blah for these blah, blah, blahs. And the guy's like, well, I don't want to trade all those blah, blah, blahs. I'll give you 3 of the blah, blah, blahs. And it's like, yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to walk around for a while and, see if these things are still here towards the end of the show, and I'll be back. Comes towards the end of the show, I'll walk back up to dude. It's like, hey, man, I still got the blah, blah, blah if you want to trade for those other blah, blah, blahs. And the guy's like, sure. You got to remember, too, when you get to the end of the day or the last day of a gun show or any of these type of trade things, that guy is seeing this is more blah, blah, blahs I got to load in the back of my truck. If I have less blah, blah, blahs, I carry less crap back home, even though I've traded all these blah, blah, blahs for one blah, blah, blah. That's only one blah, 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 as opposed to all these other blah, blah, blahs. So that's the way that one works, and it works out better in that regard. So essentially, you can see yourself as being advantageous in both avenues, and pretty much you got to tell the federal government, you don't know about this. That's the main thing that the federal government really, truly hates. The Treasury Department / the IRS really, really hates is these are items, especially when you start talking used items. Used items, you can't track. It's perfect black market type stuff. It is untaxable. It's truly a fungible resource where they really don't know where the fiduciary items are flying because there is no cash involved. There is no transactions. It's not something that you're doing online. It's not something that you're doing using a cash app. It's not something that you're doing where the guy is going boop, 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 punch up, and it goes to his cloud for sales that he then has to run taxes on. Being a business, obviously you have a tax and use license, you got a residency license of some sort or another, and you have all these things in place for the federal government to go, yeah, we now know what you're doing, or the state government to go, yeah, we know what you're doing. Black market is the key to freedom. And also, barter is the serious key to freedom. You go to Amish communities, they don't trade money. Usually they trade item for item, and it works just fine. They've been doing it for hundreds of years. They get along just fine. The Mennonites come in, they say, hey, guys, we got some, blah, blah, blahs. You want to trade the blah, blah, blahs for blah, blah, blahs? And the Amish are like, sure, here you go. We'll load those in the truck for you because we don't drive trucks, but we're not unhappy about loading the stuff that you just bartered us for. And we can take these items to our community and, of course, then disperse them as they need to be done. It works out for everybody. The only downside is with barter is there really is no good standard. Essentially, what you're relying on there is the fact that if you're a good salesperson or if you're a person of good rapport in the first place. If you're a dirtbag and you go into a community and they know you're a dirtbag, dude, you could walk in with gold bullion and they're going to go, yeah, that's probably gold bullion that's been like drilled out in the middle and filled with lead and then packed back over, made to look pretty. And yeah, we don't trust this guy. So that's one of those other things too, is it falls upon your character, your value of word. And of course, those people who know you from previous experience going, oh yeah, that guy's a good egg. Those things all come into play when you're doing / black market. And I do mean black market as an underground economy. I don't mean black market as I'm going on the dark web and I'm buying, 20 keys of Coke and I'm now selling it someplace. Okay. And it's nothing like that. I'm not talking like, obvious contraband. I'm just talking like just standard items. And those things that are your personal property that you're transferring to somebody for their something to you. Let me get back in the room here real quick in the chat room. Patriot Fever, did you see that Japan says no BLM or Black Panther fists are kneeling during anthems or etc. or will be tolerated during the Olympics? Hear, hear. Hear, hear. And the only thing I got to say to that one is Dominagato Gazamasu. That's the only thing I wish to say to them for that one is thank you very much. Somebody needed to tell, those guys of which any stripe, it is not appropriate in a sports setting to intrude politics. And that's the other thing too, is that's something that has been a tradition in the Olympics since time and eternal. No politics. Don't intrude politics here or you're going to have a problem. And that was one of those situations back in like, was it the 30s, 38 Olympics, 36, whatever it was, where Jesse Owens basically just dominated the Nazis. Hitler was in the stands wearing the Nazi armband, and the rest of that, of course, he was doing, the high salutes. Yeah. The problem then is you have those guys who are stating, yes, well, these are just our military uniforms. It's like, dude, that's a party symbol, okay? I think it was absolutely emblematically hilarious that they got dominated by the Schwarze. The black guy just beat them silly, and it was fun to read about. It truly, truly was. Because when you have the SS and of course Hitler thinking that he's a badass, but when he's claiming that the Untermensch, or the the lower persons and under persons, lesser human beings cannot stop the Ubermensch, or the Supermen. And you get dominated by some black guy from the United States. That's just good shiznit, man. That's really just fun stuff. Let's see here. Zach, haven't been doing a gun show in quite some time. Do you still think it's worth doing, or do you think everything there is just ridiculously priced there now? Well, the situation is it's going to be a status of you have to be your own best judge of what is just reprehensible price load, or is it worth it, or is it one of those things where you're like, yeah, I really truly wish to have it bad enough that I'll spend the extra money. Case in point, if you're curious enough to cruise the net and do some looking around, I mean, this is not, and I'm going to say this very clearly, this is not the namesake of which it looks like. Okay, this is not. This is an amazing reproduction and classification therein. I shall state it clearly. This is not a Cold Steel. However, it looks, it feels, and it is about 99% correct, except for the Choi. And of course, obviously, probably the metallurgy. And of course, obviously, the logo and everything is not quite right. However, it basically feels like your standard Cold Steel Tonto. The geometry is very, very nice. And I've been picking these things up off of eBay for just like a tenth of the price of a real Cold Steel. Now, I would sell these and say, look, these are not really Cold Steel, okay? But if you want a practice knife that you're not going to cry if you bung it up, get this, okay? Because the main reason why I don't own Randall knives is simply for the very simple purpose of just, yeah, it's a great cash investment. Yeah, it's an awesome, awesome knife. I've been to Randall Knives in Florida, and it's just an awesome piece of kit. However, it's too pretty to use. Same problem I have with my SOG Trident, Japan Trident. It's now about a $600 or $700 knife, and I did not spend that much for it. Those, just wonderful, wonderful workmanship. Obviously, Seki Japan or wherever it came from, but wonderful workmanship. Too pretty to use. As a matter of fact, every once in a while, I'll pop it out of the sheath very, very, very carefully. I'll admire it, and I'm going, yeah, it's still pretty. Can't use it. And it goes right back in the sheath, and it goes right back in the storage box where it is in the dude me room. And that's one of those things I will never, ever, ever take out and utilize unless such time that I have the zombie incursion. It's just the last knife I absolutely can grab and hack, stab, hack, stab, hack, stab. But that's part of the problem, too, is you go to the gun shows and you have those guys, and there's the running joke that we have. There's three people that me and my friends classify as those people who attend gun shows. One, the guys that are there and they know what they're looking for. They pretty much go straight to it, beeline, grab, go, and buy. Or they basically cut a swath running each aisle and taking a snoop, and they know what they're looking for. They're kind of looking around. Or they have an idea and a list in their head of what stuff that they want. A price list of what they find acceptable, which is completely off the mark. And those are the guys that pretty much, they're not going to be a problem. Number two is the gun show zombies, where they're just walking around. Guns. They're not saying brains. They're saying guns. And they're so overwhelmed with the sensory overload that they're just bumping into you. Bloody damn ridiculous. The gun show zombies are annoying. And there's been more than a few times where I was standing around, some guy gun show zombied into me. I kind of made sure that, sharp elbow bumped in someplace sensitive on him. Oh, sorry, dude. And he's like, ow. It's like, yeah, don't run into me again. It's going to hurt. Number 3 of those guys are the ones who are actually running the tables in the gun show. And they are of, A and B classes. A, they're the guys whose prices are okay, not great, but you maybe can mess with them a little bit, do some, jiggering around, potentially get some items for some good prices. If not, you just, go to the next guy and compare to price shop. Number 2 or B would be those guys who are the old farts who bring out their crap and show off their collections, and they have the XYZ for some ungodly price, and it's sitting on their table for so long that they're going, whoo, and they're blowing dust off it because nobody will touch it for the price that he wants for it. And there's guys like that, and it's funny too. If you go to, of all things, the Nation's Gun Show in Chantilly, Virginia, which is huge, it's like 3,000 tables, absolutely massive gun show. There's this corner, and you can talk to like the other vendors, and they're like, oh yeah, that's the old fart area, and it's the old fart area that's right by like the food court. And, I say food court because it's really just like, pretty much like a cafeteria line where you basically buy hamburgers and what have you. It's not that great. Anyway, so there's like the old fart area, and it's kind of like a little adjunct towards the front row where these guys are spending scads of cash for the placement. They've had the tables forever. The Nation's Gun Show guys are like, yeah, these guys will have these tables until they die. Well, the stuff that they have on their tables is insanely priced, and it's not even like anybody's going to try to tire kick it because the prices are just absolutely insane. So the old fart zone is something I go by, and I'm like, oh, cool, he's got one of those. Yeah. Come by like 2 or 3 shows later, it's still there. The price hasn't budged. If anything, it's gone up, and the item is not that much better than it was previously, has possibly some new handling marks. And, of course, the old guy is like, yeah, I'm going to keep this in my collection because I'm going to price it ridiculously. And it really is just like a show and tell. It's the old guys showing off to each other the crap that they've had for 50 years that they bought back when the stuff wasn't ridiculously expensive, or they were lucky enough to get it at a good price at such time that they now have it locked in where they're not going completely broke keeping it. Show and tell. That's really those guys. It's the old fart zone, and all gun shows have that. There's like the old guys that have crap tons of crap that's way overpriced. They think it's like made out of, unobtainium, and you'll spend these prices to buy their crap. Not feeling it. And it actually has been quite a while since I've gone to a gun show. As a matter of fact, the last weekend past was the Nation's Gun Show. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend that. I just got too much other crap going on. I mean, it's like, I just have like, I need to earn a certain amount of money per week, per month to keep myself in operation, pay bills and whatnot. And sometimes I just don't have time for the normal hours of operation stuff because I do work at night. I found a niche that actually works pretty good for me, and it actually works very profitably for me. So those are the times I'm going to operate doing Uber and Lyft. For those times when other guys do it, well, that works for them. But for me, this niche seems to work quite nicely. So that's what I do. Let's see. So anyway, what Nasty Pants tried to do is that a pair of bills they viewed as far too extreme on the right, and both bills were common talking points of the left. Basically, the homosexual community. I'm not going to go through the alphabet of all those guys, and abortion. But what it was is the Republicans claimed that one bill would have given the homosexual community unfair preferential treatment, and the other bill would have been another way to fund abortions. So essentially, both those got shot down. Mostly because when you start doing lending and you say one group is more preferable than the other group because they're the affected group, that's not fair. And it's really, truly not the way stuff's supposed to work, because essentially you are judged merely, if you're going to do a loan, you're judged merely on 3 things: how much you got, what's your credit rating, and, are you a dirtbag? That's it. Usually when you look at a form, it doesn't say like, who you do or what color you are, what sex you are. None of that stuff really should come into play. Only the numbers truly matter to the loan guys. And if you look at the way the stock market works, it's pretty preferential in that regard as well. Who's got the money, who's going to spend the money, who's going to basically invest the money. They don't care who you do and all the rest of that fun stuff, but there is examples of people that pretty much had it all and ran down screamingly in flames. Let's see. Could it be like, oh yeah, like the rapist guy out in Hollywood? Ugh. Yuck. Yuck. Ugh. Miramax. Ugh. Yuck. You guys know what Miramax is, right? That was the studio that Disney invested in so Disney can make R-rated movies and not have R-rated movies say, bing, Disney. Yeah, that's why they invested in Miramax. But Weinstein was the dirtbag doing the raping and pillaging and burning. Yuck. Just yuck. Let's see. Scrolly. I don't know how to express this other than this is good. When they start chewing, they're on their own butts. This is good stuff. Megan Rapinoe or Rapinoe or whatever, the lesbian chick who thinks that she's all that soccer player, but she's facing criticism because she had she had an old tweet surface. This dating from March 19, 2011. Okay, Thor's hammer again, folks. Thor's hammer. Have I told you or have I not told you there is no delete button on the internet? Thor's hammer. That's the only way to express it. Anyway, she put out this post March 19, 2011 at Tasha_Kai00. Letter U. Look Asian with those closed eyes. Oops. Orange. Don't. He's going to be climbing into stuff. The user opponent responding to appears to no longer have the account, but it belonged to Hawaiian former U.S. Olympian soccer player Natasha Kai. Twitter users responded critically to the racial tweet. Gee, do you think? This one, of course, being posted up June 17, 2021 from Blomf 2024. I don't even know what the hell that one is. But anyway, somebody having fun. Stop Asian hate. Leftists are true TROO bigots. This one from Arjid B has a Bruce Lee gif going, that's racist. Oh, man. From Amatila Tamarindo. Somebody's going to get canceled. LMAO. Okay. And then somebody else from another name that just looks kind of weird, but she is LGBTQ and feminist. Literally impossible to be canceled, sadly. Women's underwear brand Victoria's Secret announced they're doing away with its supermodels and instead going for a group famous for achievements, including Rapone. I don't even know how to say the last name. I'm just going to say Rapone. To model their underwear and advise to promote the brand on social media. The world was changing. We were too slow to respond. We needed time to say what men want and what they think women want. Yeah. Quote, the patriarchal sexist viewing is not just what it meant to be sexy, but what clothes are trying to accomplish through a male lens and through what men desired, and was very much marketed towards younger women. The brand's messaging she added was really harmful. You like girls. Shouldn't you be looking at these chicks going, oh, yeah, that's freaking hot? Okay. I remember having a conversation with a gay guy. And, it was like one of my passengers, and I don't know how it kind of tended this way, but I was like, dude, everybody likes boobs, even gay guys, right? And he's like, oh, absolutely. Boobs are awesome. we all agree. The feminine form is not the problem. It's just, the gay guys prefer other gay guys. It's not like they look at chicks going, oh, ew, gross. It's like, yeah, I can appreciate, the conceptual inspiration therein, but I'm just not going to that side of the aisle. I prefer my side of the aisle, but yeah, that's not bad work. I don't mind it. So, that's one of the things that kind of really cracks me up. It's really funny, too, when you have this whole thing about, like, it's like lesbians get mad that guys find chicks attractive. It's like, sorry, we both find them attractive. Deal. But, yeah, I think Megan might have a little ish. Yeah. I've never really been a fan of that place anyway. Every time I've ever gone in Victoria's Secret, it's like, yeah, okay, these are all like size 0 females. There's not a chick I've ever dated who was that small who could actually fit in this crap and not look like you basically just, you're making sausage links, okay? Real women don't really fit in Victoria's Secret stuff. And it's false premise to say that somebody that looks like a supermodel with this stuff on is going to look like, the housewife that's trying to cram herself into this sausage casing. It's not going to look the same because it's false advertising, false premise. And truthfully, I kind of really would like to see the chick without any clothes on at all, minus any underwear. That's just me, okay? Let's see. Patriot thought I was discussing Epstein there for a moment. Oh, jeez. Like I said, Rapino doesn't need to know that the katana. Jeez. Oh, man. Patriot Fever heard a Baptist preacher say once that of all God's creation is supposed to be adored and admired, if you know what I mean. Since Mrs. Dude is nearby. No, Mrs. Dude rolled out when I was talking about June 19th, and she was like, kind of like deer in the headlights, like, Dink, he's talking about something racial. It's like, okay, I know how to say something without being insulting to all the races while still expressing myself, okay? Like I said, I don't have a problem with the holiday. I have a problem with the way the government just, there you go, here's a holiday. We're going to basically apologize for all this crap. What? That was my point, okay? The June, whatever it is, making mention of the day and all the rest. I got no issue with it, okay? It's a moment in history. It's a moment of sad history in our nation. I could go on and on about, slavery sucks. The people that did it weren't exactly nice guys. We know all this stuff, okay? I'm rehashing the bloody damn obvious. I really don't need to mince words on that one. It was bad stuff, okay? Duh. Let's see. Scroll. This is good shiznit. This is coming in from the gun side of things. But the ATF, also known as the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Morons, is now stating that they have halted all new opinion letters for unfinished frames and receivers. Translation: they know. I really want to cuss here, but they know we are watching their asses closely. Chipman, the Waco murdering a-hole, is delayed, and now this is happening. The ATF rules are not even laws. The ATF cannot make new legislation, and it can be beaten in court. So, this is coming from Washington, D.C., from MLN.com. The Bureau of ATF has halted all issuances of new opinion letters to any company submitting samples for, quote, non-firearms, end quote, items. Translation: when a company produces an 80% lower receiver or, a pistol frame or something along those lines, and it states this is an 80% item, they have to ship a piece of it, read like one of those items, to the BATF. And the BATF and all their bumble, I really want to cuss here, but their bumble fartery, and I really wanted to say another F word, but their bumble fartery take the thing and they're like, okay, let's see if we can make this go bang. What does it take to make this go bang? How many steps to make this go bang? Can this go bang before we break this thing? And so the bumble farteries take this thing into a laboratory, and I know where the lab is, okay? They used to have a sign outside that said the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Lab. I know where that lab is. It's not real far from my house. It's only about an hour away. I know where that lab is. But anyway, they changed the sign because apparently they got a little concerned after Waco. Yeah, they got a little concerned. Anyway, so they take this item and they try to see if they can make it into a functional firearm using less than 20% of machining, addressing items that need to be removed, modified, filed, ground, holes drilled, all the rest of that fun stuff. The last 20% of machining that makes a non-functional paperweight, being either an alloy or a polymer item, into a functional firearm. And so essentially they've said, well, we're just not going to accept those anymore. And, those things that are out there now, blah, 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 blah. We'll hold on our approvals right now. So JSD Supply, and I've actually met the guys at JSD. They're not a bad bunch of guys. Send an email to the ATF inquiring about its request for an opinion letter from the Firearms and Ammunition Firearms and Ammunition Technology Division, FATD, fatted, the fatheads, about a new unfinished Smith & Wesson M&P CZ Scorpion Evo and Sig Sauer P365 product. The ATF informed the company that FATD would not be issuing any letters or any new letters on unfinished receivers and frames until the final decision is implemented, or to not implement the new proposed ATF rules that the agency submitted to the Federal Registry. Okay, they overstepped bad on this one, and they're going to get challenged hard. If any of these guys really want to make this stuff stick, I think every single person in the industry should basically throw $10,000, or not more, but $10,000 at a lawyer. And we tell the lawyer, look, dude, you light them up. You sue the pants off of them, and you make these guys go into a court of law and answer for why are they holding up the process, what is the process, and why is there a process. Now, to define for the absolutely stone legislation, concrete, precedent, state what is 80% mean. Chipman was on the stand and he couldn't do it. Chipman couldn't even define like what an assault weapon was. And oh yeah, the other shoe to drop, Chipman supposedly lost a duty weapon. And he doesn't trust us with firearms. This moron loses a gun, an issued government firearm. He loses it, and oh snap, sorry. Yeah, just give me another one. Yeah. I've heard telltale about, cops walking away from basically their patrol vehicles, and they're leaving an M16, not an AR-15, but leaving an M16 leaning on the fender, where to the point where a neighbor walks up and goes, officer, you left a gun here, okay? Oh yeah, thanks, man. Did anybody touch it? Anybody touch it? Dude, I could have walked off with it and you wouldn't have been able to do a damn thing about it because your attention was distracted. You didn't secure your firearm. You didn't keep your firearm safe. That's on you. You are a moron. But anyway, unfinished receivers and pistol stabilizing brace has never been illegal in the country. Even before the founding of the nation, colonists have been making their own homemade firearms. The ATF has consistently pushed back against groups and states that demand that the ATF require serialization of unfinished frames and receivers. They cannot make legislation. California and other states have sued the ATF over the definition of a firearm, which items do not fall under the current rules. The state believes that these items are often referred to as 80% should be serialized. Well, that would make them a manufactured firearm, of which you would need to have an ATF license of SOT. You would have to have a Group 7, Group 6, and you would have to have some federal firearms licenses to produce firearms. Now, the reason why you have a serial number in the first place in all firearms is pretty much just to keep track of which gun did you make at which time, and to keep track of any problems that you have mechanically. The federal government then uses these serial numbers to identify firearm A from firearm B, where you have like a whole passel of Glocks. They all look the same. There is no difference on a modern production facility. All these look the same. As a matter of fact, over here to my right, I got both my KE-15s, or is it KP-15s? Both my KP-15s, and with the exception of a couple of minor little defects, they look exactly the same except for the serial number. You wouldn't know the two apart side by side. If I put them both, nice side up, you would never be able to tell the difference between the two. Okay. There might be some slight little tiny defects to differentiate one from the other because obviously, stuff happens, but there's no way to tell between those two from one to the other. And of course, it's, the BATF then realizing that, well, we can't make these things happen without legislation. Anti-gun groups have also pushed back. Anti-gun groups have also pushed to have unfinished frames and receivers serialized. Every Town for Gun Safety, also known as Bloomberg's group, and Giffords, also Bloomberg's group, or Soros, have demanded that the ATF change the regulations regarding unfinished frames and receivers. Both groups have employed Biden's ATF director nominee, David Waco murderer Chipman. Chipman has been a vocal opponent of 80% receivers and pistol stabilizing devices. Why? Because it's stuff he can't regulate. Legally, he cannot regulate it without legislation. That is not his way to go. Well, we just changed the rules, so stuff is different. BATF butthole, bad news. You making new regulation is for the manufacturers. It is not for Joe Citizen. And bad news for you, there is way more of us than there ever was of you. and seeing how you got your ass handed to you in Waco and you had to call in for like armored vehicles, that is only a little snippet of what would happen in the real world if you start doing a door-to-door thing where word gets around and people find out you're up to playing games. Believe me, you're going to get your ass shot off. Representative Brown worked with Eagle Arms to ban the sale of unfinished frames at their shows. He has taken a hard line against items. He's also co-sponsored a bill to require firearms training classes before Pennsylvania allows a person to buy a gun. Kim Stauffer told me that the organization gave him a B+ to Amen Brown to see if we were reported. As of this writing, he's still a B+ with the FOAC. What the hell is FOAC? Oh, Firearms Owners Against Crime. But what it is it's like in Pennsylvania, you have Eagle Arms who runs gun shows, and they don't like 80% firearms, so they don't allow them. I got bad news for you, dude. It's not hard to find an 80%. You go on the internet, and they're everywhere, okay? The only thing that's really stopping people from buying 80% receivers right now is the fact that everybody's made a run on any kind of firearms. Ammunition is still very scarce. Parts are harder to acquire. There's just a lot of people building and having guns right now because they don't trust the federal government. And they haven't trusted the federal government. And the gun ownership in the last 5 years has increased at least a third. That's a lot of firearms. That's a lot of people arming up for the very, very, very first time. And, oh, yeah, the biggest buyer of firearms right now is not old white guys. It happens to be blacks, and it happens to be females. So you now have potentially a whole bunch more people going, I bought them. I'm not going to give them back for a $300 buyback when I spent $1,000 for this thing. You can step off. So that's the other, camel's nose under the tent that the Democrats don't really like to talk about is the fact there's a lot of new gun owners that are going, yeah, man, I got it. It's mine. I'm not giving it back. Believe that. Realistically, the delay will add at least 6 months to the FATD to issue an opinion letter. Still, the wait time will increase dramatically. If whatever version of the new rule goes into effect, the ATF asks all companies that currently hold an FATD opinion letter for unfinished frames and receivers to resubmit their items for examination. Yeah, I'll get that right out to you guys. The ATF is also requesting any company that sells a firearm with a pistol brace to resubmit its sample. That would mean hundreds, if not thousands, of samples that the FATD would have to work through. Oh, guess what I would be sending them? I'd be sending them a box full of metal shavings and say, it's in there. That's just packing material. Patriots Fever, I just wish the IRS would process my tax return before they take any more holidays. Oh, this is true. Some of the gun community see these ATF moves as a way of stifling firearms market by creating an artificial bottleneck. Others believe that the FATD is trying to prevent duplication of work. No matter what one thinks, the reason for this stoppage is the comment period is open and readers can submit their thoughts about the new rules to the Federal Registry. The ATF did not respond to a request for comment. Of course not. They are scared. They're getting their phones rung off the hook by all these guys in Congress and Senate going, we really didn't intend for all this crap to be going on. Why are you making this public? And they're like, we're not making it public. We're just basically doing our policies, and these guys in the gun community are telling everybody what we're up to. Word got out? Yeah, in a way, you might say that. I don't know if you guys saw this or not. This one was hilarious. Supposedly, Osama bin Laden's niece. This is funny. I cannot do this justice, but Osama bin Laden's niece. Let's see, what's her name? Noor bin Laden. So Noor bin Laden, who's 34. It's actually really cute. Hours before President Joe Biden met with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Geneva on Wednesday, Osama bin Laden's niece was outside waving a Trump one flag. She was on a boat basically in the water outside the thing, just like cruising around and waving this Trump one flag. Videos show Noor bin Laden standing on a boat in Geneva Lake, Switzerland, waving the banner. The 9/11 mastermind's niece has expressed her support for Donald Trump in the past has said she. Hang on a second here. Hang on a second. I hate this when you register to finish reading this. It's like, go away. Let's see here. Not the first time she supported Mr. Trump. 2020, she endorsed the former president in an interview with the New York Post. Quote, I've been a supporter of President Trump since he announced he was running in the early days of 2015. I have watched from afar, and I admire this man's resolve. He must be reelected. It's vital for the future of not only America, but Western civilization as a whole. Sometime after Miss Bin Laden's protest, Sometime after Miss Bin Laden's protest, Mr. Biden met with Mr. Putin in Geneva to discuss various points of tension in the U.S.-Russian relationships. Yeah, and Putin made you look like a fool. There were no major breakthroughs. Both leaders described the meeting as positive. Now, why do you got to rah-rah Biden in this article? I must tell you, the entire meeting, it was a total of 4 hours. It was good. Oh, please. Please. You got given your lunch there, Mr. That's right. Putin said you're nothing but. He's Joe Caca. That's it. Quote, there's been no hostility, Mr. Putin said. On the contrary, our meeting took place in a constructive spirit, end quote. Okay. Putin is former KGB. He can lie like he breathes. Don't even believe that stuff. No mention was made of Miss Bin Laden's flags. I heard there was another news story where the cops came out there and harassed her. But yeah, she's fun. I like her. She's fun. Not to mention the fact she's also cute. So, you have somebody who's cute who's basically doing this type of stuff. So the feisty female. I kind of like it. I don't know if you guys have seen this now, but we are obviously 21 states are now constitutional carry. So Texas, of course, will be the 20th state to take place on 1 September will become legit. So now there is 21 states that have constitutional carry. So that's going to be Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Idaho, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Maine, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, New Hampshire, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, West Virginia, and Wyoming. But, and it's a big but. There is something else going on here. Do I hear 22? 22, 22, 22. Who give me 22? Hey, we got 21, 21, 21. Let's hear 22. Come on, go. Supposedly now, Louisiana is now thinking of becoming the 22nd constitutional carry state in the Union. So, what can we take from this? It seems to me that they are they're doing stuff, and these states are seeing that if there's a situation where you have the federal government who is overstepping things, you need to strike back. That's it. I don't know if you guys read about this or not, but me being partially Hungarian, sometimes news stories pop up. I got to make mention of them. So the Hungarian Parliament, I can't talk today. Hungarian Parliament has just passed a law banning showing LGBT content to minors. Wow. And especially as part of the EU, and what is it? Hopefully my computer doesn't crash here, but there is the Schengen visa. And what the Schengen visa says is there's like a number of European countries. I think it's like 21 countries or 20 countries or something. But all these countries, if you have the Schengen visa, you can go over there for 90 days. And I forget like how it rolls over. It's like 90 days out of like 180 days that you don't need to get a specific visa to be in any one of these countries for, temporary residency or vacationing or whatever it is. Essentially, as long as you got this Schengen visa, you apply for it in the United States. It costs €7, which is like $11, $12 or something. And you can bounce around Europe for like 90 days without needing to get another visa. As long as you got your passport and Ascension, you just basically go through all these things. And Ascension is a agreement among all these other countries to say, yes, you're good to go and blah, 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 blah. But there's some countries that pretty much is like, you know what, if you come here, we're really cool with you. Like Lithuania and Poland, the Czech Republic, those guys love Americans. They're like, you want to come over here and spend money? Come on in. And the Czechs, obviously, I would love to see Prague. I would truly, truly love to see Prague. If I went to Poland, yeah, I would have to see Auschwitz. I mean, it's just stuff that I would like to do. Of course, Europe right now is still kind of being a little butt bunged, and hopefully, as things go along with COVID, things kind of settle down. But Patriot Fever, when in Hades did Europe start getting more conservative than us? Well, you can look at the history on Hungary. Hungary are the guys that pretty much are like the Poles and the Czechs, and they're like, yeah, we might be part of the EU, but we're not the EU, okay? Don't try that crap here. As a matter of fact, so much so that they still use their own currency. They don't use the euro in country. You know, if you go to Poland using the Zlotnik or whatever it is, if you go to Hungary, I think it's like there's a Corona or something, or it's the Corona in the Czechs and Hungary. I forget it's like a Zilisk or something like that. I forget what the name is in Hungarian. I don't want to speak in Hungarian. It's almost like Finnish. It's a really, really hard language. But anyway, so that stuff coming along, and yeah, it's good shiznit. I don't know if you guys caught up on this one or not, but there is a badass mother hunchy. Oh, this guy is good. And I'm talking about a gentleman by the name of Cristiano Ronaldo. He's a Portuguese guy. And you know what? After reading about this, I was like, let me take a look at how Portugal is. Portugal's cool. It's a cool country. I think he's Portuguese, actually. Hang on a second. Let me keep myself honest here. Just to keep myself honest. But I believe he's Portuguese. Yes, he is Portuguese. Okay, so I'm right in that one. So Cristiano Ronaldo, what he did was there is a soccer thing going on, and obviously he's like one of the big name players. Guys are like really, really good soccer player. Of course, in the United States, we're just like, we know about soccer, but we don't follow soccer. Some people do. We're not into it. But anyway, what he did was he sat down at their speech table, whatnot, and behind him was like a wall of labels and whatnot. And this thing was sponsored by, of all places and all companies, Coca-Cola. So he sits down and he goes, Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola diet. And they're like looking at him. He goes, agua. So basically he's like, I'm not drinking this Coca-Cola crap with all their woke BS. I'm drinking water. Well, because Cristiano Ronaldo pulled this one, Coke stock dropped $1 in the share value, which equaled $5 billion in 4 days. He alone cost Coca-Cola $5 billion. Holy crap. Coca-Cola shares dropped from 56.17 to 55.22 after Ronaldo moved 2 Coke bottles out of view and picked up a bottle of water before Portugal's match against Hungary on Monday. As of Thursday, Coca-Cola stock prices were trading even lower to close at $54.95, bringing the total market value down by $5.1 billion to $236.9 billion from $242 billion. Agua, the soccer superstar exclaimed. Agua means water in Portuguese. Well, it also means water in Spanish. Coca-Cola is one of the sponsors for the oh God, what an acronym is this? The UEFA Euro 2020 tournament. And a statement from the company reviewed by The Guardian said, quote, everyone is entitled to their drink preferences, end quote. Yeah, he pretty much told you guys to go away. A Euro 2020 I cannot talk today. A Euro 2020 spokesperson repeatedly said, players are offered water alongside Coca-Cola and Coca-Cola Zero Sugar on arrival at our press conference. And he's like, you know what? I'm not drinking this crap. Ronaldo may have started a trend because the French soccer player, Paul Pogba, mirrored the same gesture with a Heineken beer bottle following a match with Germany on Tuesday. Ronaldo is well known for his impressive physique and told Goal.com he kept his body in good shape as he avoids alcohol and carbonated drinks. Yeah, the guy's in like really amazing shape. Let's see. Scrolly. Okay. Thor's hammer again. Thor's hammer. Remember when I told you about Google Docs in that video that I posted up on YouTube where I said if the header looks sketch, it doesn't match up with the mailing email address, it is bad juju. Do not use it. Don't open it. Don't click the link. Don't go there. What comes out of techradar.com? But, and I told you guys, Google Docs is being weaponized by hackers. Mind blown. By Joel Kalili. Think twice before clicking on that Google Doc link, users warned. I go into it and, length, depth, and breadth in that video. You guys can watch it at your leisure. It's posted up on my channel. So it's there, okay? I already said it. I'm rehashing the obvious. If it looks sketch, delete. Don't report it as spam. Delete. You guys heard about the guy in Texas? Obviously, Mr. Governor Abbott. Yeah, he shut the paychecks off for the Democrats because they walked out. They wouldn't do any voting. And the worst part about it is because there's not enough people to vote, there is no quorum in the Texas State House. So Abbott shut off their funds. Immediately they're like, wow, well, sue. It's like, you're not working. How are you going to sue me for money that you should be not earning? Go for it. Let's go to court. You're going to lose. This one has got the left losing their minds. And this one's coming over from a post. I forget where it actually was posted up, but it's from Donald Trump. And this is on Father's Day, but the left is losing their freaking mind. Statement by Donald John Trump, 45th President of the United States of America. Happy Father's Day to all, including the radical left, rhinos, and other losers of the world. Hopefully, eventually, everyone will come together. And the left is losing their freaking mind. Wow. But the left truly has TDS, or Trump Derangement Syndrome. Last time I checked, he was still rich, has world name recognition, the likes of which many seek and never achieve, and has been a former president. Something only a very few have ever accomplished, and rarely in the same life. I find it interesting when he was a New York notable, he was fine and not a racist and was a decent guy who could work minor miracles, getting stuff done in the city with no politics or parties to defray the progress. He was accomplished to make New York City better. But since he's become president, there is nothing but the whole need to defame him at every opportunity. Last time I checked, and this is me writing. Last time I checked, he was out of office and doesn't need to be allowed to speak his mind. And with the Constitution, he has First Amendment rights to say anything he wishes. The Constitution says you have the freedom of speech to speak and in the process offend or insult anyone he chooses. Don't like what he has to say? Tune out. Simple as that. If you seek to be offended, that is on you, not Donald John Trump. He is also a New Yorker. He's from Brooklyn. As am I, Bronx. And when you throw a smack, this is cleaned up massively for many political and side groups here, you can be assured for us to give it back tenfold. And we will never forget those who gave us false witness on our character and will always seek to insult us for any opportunity. And no, I'm not rah-rahing Trump. I'm merely saying that, do you see anybody in the Republican Party dogging on anyone from other parties after they left office? Might be time to support your guy instead of whining about the Republican past, or is there a problem doing that now? Yeah, you don't see a whole bunch of people going, oh, Biden is just, yes, oh, absolutely amazing. Oh, Joe Biden, he's the guy. Yes, thank you. Let's see. Scroll. Oh. I don't know if you guys heard about this or not, but Pence trying to prop himself up and make himself look like, somebody now that he's, seen as a rhino and not the guy, and potentially somebody that, pretty much probably tried to screw Trump over behind the scenes and get a leg up on him. But it's now been found out that of all the people that tested out at a get-together at a Republican Party get-together, Western Conservative Summit, which bills itself as, quote, the largest gathering of conservatives outside of Washington, D.C., was held this weekend in Denver, Colorado. Participants in the summit voted in a straw poll about several important topics for conservatives, including the preferred candidates for the 2024 presidential race. This is interesting. Where do you think Mike Pence fell in? Oh, jeez. Yeah, there is that Patriot fever. There is that unfortunate thing they were trying to throw at Trump about, like, is he competent? Does he need a cognitive test? Yeah, throwing kind of snark like that does kind of backfire on you. Anyway, so looking at the list, Mike Pence. Mike Pence didn't do so good. From the top, Ron DeSantis, 74.12%. Donald Trump, 71.43%. That's interesting. I think what they see is DeSantis as clean linen coming out and without all the proper, crap to worry about, baggage and the like. I really like Ron DeSantis. He's done amazing things for the state of Florida. And considering he's hung out with SEALs, he's not a, hang on a second. I got this one, sound guy. Considering he's hung out with SEALs and did their stuff and worked hard with them, he is not a, no. It can be said, Ron DeSantis is about the furthest thing from a, as you're going to get. Okay. He is ready to kick ass and just some people up. All right. So anyway, so Trump was 71.43%. Ted Cruz, this is huge. Ted Cruz slides massively, 42.86%. Okay. I will never see Ted Cruz as a forerunner to say this is the guy we're putting in the White House in either seat. But in the Senate, he's a firebrand. He does good work. He needs to stay in the Senate and do that stuff that he does so well, calling to task those people who try to, put things, slide them. And no. Ted Cruz does his job really well in the senatorial seat. Stay there. Mike Pompeo. I don't know why I even put him in there. 39.35%. Tim Scott, 33.58%. Kristi Noem, 29.92%. Tom Cotton, 29.92%. Another guy that literally should be in the House, Senate, whatever, does a really kick-ass job. Don't try to seek higher office. You just won't do it. Rand Paul, another guy that does a really good job where he is. He doesn't need to go any further. 27.76%. Donald Trump Jr., 24.8%. Wow. Mike Pence. Mike Pence, where are you at? 21.56%. Dude, hang it up. Hang it up. You are not the guy. You're not trusted anymore. And that time when you try to do some public thing and people are screaming traitor at you, they know you for what you are. Don't try it. You're not going to go any further. People don't trust you. I don't know if you guys heard about this one or not, but supposedly another one that Ron DeSantis did, and this is classically conservative, where you say if you choose not to be a part of it, that's fine. But if you choose to be a part of it, that's your option. He has now instituted the minute of silence back in school for school prayer. So even those people who are full-on agnostic, God-hating crap birds, if there's a test coming, they still pray. Oh, God, please don't let me fail this. Yeah, even atheists pray in foxholes. That's known fact. So he's instituted a minute of silence back to schools. So if you wish to pray, you can. If not, you respectfully shut your trap for a minute. Let others who wish to do it. If you got a problem with that, guess what? You're going to get booted out the classroom. Yeah. Oh, scrolly. I don't know if you guys heard this one or not, but Joe Kaka had a slight problem. He got a hard question. And then he said, well, you're in the wrong business. And then a little while later, he's like, yeah, I was being too much of a wise guy. I want to apologize for being too much of a wise guy. Not I want to apologize for being, just an asshole. I want to apologize for being a wise guy, which is probably what they coached him on the entire time where he was flying from place to place and got off the plane and walked into the next group of reporters going, yeah, I was being a wise guy. Yeah. Can I get some more ice cream, please? What a POS. I am truly not impressed with him. Let's see. Scroll. This is classic New York snarky politics. I don't know if you guys heard about this one or not, but the Trump organization is now suing New York City for ending a golf contract prematurely. It's from Washington, June 21, from Reuters. Former President Donald Trump's company sued New York City on Monday, accusing it of terminating a golf course contract with the Trump organization to punish it after the Trump supporters stormed the Capitol on June 6th. You mean, like the bad guys stormed the Capitol? mean like the guys who are not Trump supporters storm the Capitol? Mean like you're now just looking for some way to throw shade on him at every chance possible? Like you're just trying to screw him financially? I think he can afford it, but it's merely a contractual thing when you guys don't fix the problem. I really hate when they overfill a bottle. It's like you crack the cap and it starts dripping. That's just gross. And then you get the little ring of splatterage. I hate that. It's like you basically pick it up and it's just like hands are all sticky and everything. It's just nasty. Anyway, so former presidents doing this at okay. The lawsuit filed in New York State Supreme Court in Manhattan says the contract was improperly terminated by New York City Mayor. Hang on a second. I got the perfect sound effect for him. Yeah. By New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio. Yeah. Also known as Wilhelm. That Bill de Blasio is not his name. His name is actually Wilhelm. The Trump Organization has managed the Trump golf links at Ferry Point in the Bronx borough since it opened in 2015. God, there's golf in the Bronx? Wow. Quote, de Blasio had a pre-existing politically based predisposition to terminate Trump-related contracts, and the city used the events of July 6, 2021 as a pretext to do so, end quote, according to the lawsuit. Well, if it's a contract, you cannot breach the contract for something done politically in Washington, D.C. New York City did not immediately respond to a request for comment. And then they explain what happened with all the rest of this fall and happy horse stuff and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, the thing about it is, and of course, it's a Reuters article, which means they try to throw as much snark on there as they possibly can. After the attack at the Capitol, City also had contracts with the Trump Organization to run 2 skating rinks and a carousel in Central Park. They are going to get their asses suit off on this one, and they are not going to win this. New York City is going to lose. I could take this one out of the room and and really express it thusly, but I'm just simply going to say it like this. There's a cereal box being put out by Kellogg's, and it is a Pride box using Tony the Tiger, Snap, Crackle, and Pop. The toucan from Fruit Loops. Basically all the big Kellogg's characters to say that they're pro rainbow or whichever. It's crap. Okay, it's crap. Truthfully, it can be said that when you have any kind of a political mandate being put on children's cereal boxes, that is incorrect. I mean, if you look at the way it's supposed to be done, you put a sports figure on there. A sports figure is pretty much like, yeah, I eat this cereal and I play really good. Fine, that's perfectly allowable. Guys basically sponsor what have you. If you put a political mandate on there to say, well, yeah, if you're gay, you eat this cereal, it's basically seen as proper and blah, blah, blah. And Kellogg's already said that they're going to be giving $3 per box donated to, some homosexual, group of empowerment or some such. I'm not going to get into it for great detail, but the mere fact that these guys feel the need to do this in a modern woke society should tell you how emboldened these companies feel. I'm going to make it a point now that anytime I see anything Kellogg's related, I'm not buying it. I'm not going to buy it, mostly because I'm not fully apolitical, but I don't want this stuff shoved in my face, and I don't support those who do these things. So it could be said that essentially, if you're going to get really woke political, or if you're going to get really political, period, I'm not going to have a damn thing to do with you. And avoiding Kellogg's is not hard, okay? I usually use, like an organic cereal that is not any of those major companies. I usually use Post products. And avoiding Kellogg's is really not too hard for me. I mean, most of the time, as you look at the ingredients and all that stuff, and that's sugar-encrusted dog crap. I just would not put that stuff into my body. Maybe as a treat every once in a while, but I'm going to easily avoid that stuff. All the Rice Krispies and all the rest of that crap, easily avoid it because there's tons of other guys that make the same damn stuff without profiting Kellogg's Corporation. Patriot Fever saw a Kellogg's box showing Pride. I publicly want to use it as toilet paper. Oh, dude, that's funny. Man. That's funny. Randall Hill, don't know who you are, but appreciate you coming by. Let's see. Looky. There was something else that's jumping in there. I did post up the links, and this is going to be on the sad occasion of the podcast for the Rush Limbaugh show on 6/18/21 was literally the very last Rush Limbaugh podcast where they referenced Rush, used Rush sound bites, used Rush entries, and pretty much just gave him the final sign off before it is the new one where you have the Clay and Buck show, and it'll be now the pickup. And I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, I really, truly like Buck Sexton. The other guy, Clay, he says he filled in for Rush on one occasion like 7 years ago. So obviously he was notable and good enough to do that. I usually find when you have two guys contrasting off one another, it gets sometimes like an overage of information. It's like, well, and it's like these guys tend to just like they throw so much information around that one kind of like literally drowns out the other, or they both supply so much information that it's almost like watching like The View, where you have a bunch of just gaggling hens going, it sucks. It becomes like just too much audio noise and overage of stuff that it's just too much. Let's see. Randall Hill, do they shove it down our throats, or is it in almost every other TV commercial? Well, dude, I don't watch TV. I've been watching pretty much just stuff online for a few years now. I really never turn on the television. As a matter of fact, it's gotten so profound that Mrs. Dude is like, you know what? We should just turn in our cable boxes and just run straight internet because, we have obviously, I really got to go through and turn in all the privacy things off. But we got a couple of the Amazon Fire Sticks, and we got a couple of these in our TVs. And with that running, standard internet, you got scads of stuff between Disney Plus, Paramount, Netflix, Hulu. I mean, we're covered, okay? We really truly don't even need to have like, Comcast going, oh no, it's only $50 a month for each box. Yeah, that's nice. But basic internet is like about $110 a month. I think we can do that a lot better than like sub $200 or more than $200. I think we're good. Patriot Fever says, oh, Mrs. Patriot plus Vegemite does not equal snoo. Oh, dude. Yeah. Unfortunately, Vegemite can be a snoo killer. Well, there's always that time where she might be asleep and you could always just say, okay, she's not expecting it. And yeah, because it is not going to be death by snoo. No, you might have to just basically go for an attack. I don't think she'd like that. All right, man. Patriot Fever. So you're going to be doing a Vegemite video. Good. Okay, that's cool. So let me scroll. I know we're running a little long today, but that's cool. So I don't know if you guys saw this one. This is hilarious. I cannot begin to tell you how much this tickles me. This one's coming from thepatriotjournal.com / I'm going to let you guys hear this one. Biden and Trump's approval numbers have traded places. The president, hang on a second. I am not going to call him anything but what he is. So president has traded places with Donald Trump. I really don't want to say it incorrectly. The president, is now below 50%, while Trump's numbers are rising. Yeah. Been predicting this for a long time, even now the liberal media is catching up. Since Biden entered office in January, his approval started to slide. Seemed like people are excited about him because it wasn't Donald Trump. But when Biden started to prove his quote-unquote worth as president, the wool fell from America's eyes. His approval's been sliding in the polls for months now. Now, even Monmouth University has Biden underwater. From the Daily Wire, Democrat president, his approval rating has plummeted to below 50% in a new Monmouth University poll this week. the first time Biden has ever fallen below 50% in the polls since taking office in January. Biden currently holds a job rating of, hang on a second, currently holds a job rating of 48% approve and 43% disapprove. 7% split is huge. Now, do you guys notice how you did the math on that one? There's like, 7% missing, 7% undecided, or a 7% error in testing, or a 7% error margin. That would flip Trump over. Easy. Monmouth University sent a poll released on Wednesday. This is down from his 54% approve and 41% disapprove rating in April. And the Democrats begin to lose faith in Joe. Donald Trump has been out of the office all year, sees his approval rise. From the Washington Examiner, we're making a decision in 2024, but you look at the numbers, people are liking me more before than ever. And I think the reason is they're watching what is happening with our country, and I guess it's making me very popular. Jeez. What can you say? What can you say? There was something else that was jumping at me I wanted to throw there. Hang on a second. Where was it? Again, I mean, I really like DeSantis, okay? Promises he's only begun to fight, and he's put on the full armor of God to fight the left. Oh, my goodness. Met with a standing ovation over the weekend as he spoke with the Faith and Freedom Coalition Road to Majority Conference. Speech comes in the next straw poll at a top conservative summit over the weekend, found that DeSantis has overtaken Donald Trump, which I just read you guys earlier. DeSantis spoke for half an hour of the event, highlighted his record as state governor and his goals are moving forward. And the highlights from the speech include ability to serve as governor opportunity was an opportunity to do somebody. Don't need another title. It was an opportunity to do great things on behalf of the state. I was not going to settle for merely being controlled opposition to leftism. Instead, we're going to have to fight big battles, and we're going to win, and we have practiced that. First year as governor signed the law of the largest expansion of school choice, signed a ban on sanctuary cities, Supreme Court of Florida. He's basically shaped quite nicely. I can tell you, Florida's not done with the pandemic. Could have done the lockdown, but ultimately, Florida chose freedom over Fauciism, and we're the better off for it. They truly are. Major events in COVID, blah, blah, blah. I mean, Florida just looks so much better. Let's see. Scroll. It gets really. Said what he said. I said if you're in one of these corporations, if you're a woke CEO, you want to get involved in our legislation. Look, it's a free country. You want to get in there and slam us or smear us or my legislation or Floridians. It's a free country. We understand. If you do that, I'm fighting back against you. I'm going to make sure that your people understand your business practices, and then we're going to talk about what you're doing very clearly about that. We're not going to let our state be run by woke corporations. So we've just passed the bill. I signed the bill. The left had a spasm. Media had a spasm. Business didn't say anything. They didn't say anything because they think what they do is what they think. And the left concerns after you, the path of least resistance, and the way to go in conflict is just to cave them and genuflect to whatever they're asking. He's a good egg, man. He's a good egg. Keep an eye on him, man. He's young too. I mean, DeSantis, I think he's only like 40 something. Let's see. He's only 42. Well, how old was JFK when he got in office? Same age range, like 41, 43, somewhere in there. I forget exactly how old he was, but DeSantis, man, he could be the Republican JFK. And I could say truly, he is truly the guy that really could make a major, major difference. And I would truly love to see him doing things like that because that would just be good stuff. So many times, you basically have the Republican Party step on their, how do I say this without saying this? They stepped on their, they stepped on their ding. They stepped on their, that's about as nice as you can say it. They stepped on their ding. So such times as they step on their ding, you really have to worry about those times when they step on it and they try to hide it. So anyway, coming up at 10:30 time period, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. Got many other things to do, but you guys hung out with me. You get a gold star for attendance. I truly appreciate your kind attentions. Like I usually say, you can find me. Well, I'll be on Facebook within 5 days. I'll probably get about a week off of good behavior. Then I'll be right back in on another 30-day. But anyway, so 5 days back on Facebook. Obviously, you find me currently on my Gab account. So gab.com/dude jerky 80s. So Dude Jerky 80s. You find me on my Gab doing my daily updates, and you do not need to be a Gab attendee, account holder, whatever, to look at that stuff. It's always going to be up. And as long as people give that money to keep Gab running, Gab is running. And they don't need to define themselves with working on a server on, I don't know, like Amazon, or working off a Facebook server. These guys are paying the high dollars to maintain themselves as a free speech enterprise. And it's been fun so far. It's a little slow, but sometimes it's a little glitchy, but it works. It works. And it's not like Facebook, because I can say anything I want to. Unfortunately, the audience is not huge yet, but when enough people get sick of Facebook and they start migrating over, good things will happen. Or like, other platforms. Supposedly now there's going to be the new one, which I just registered for, but there is the new Donald Trump platform, which is coming up, and it'll be referred to as the Trumpet, I believe. But it's like the office45.com or something like that. But I just registered for that. Just got the confirmation email, and just waiting for it to get clicked on. Obviously, the stuff is working. You go on the website. Trump is making statements on it. I just hope he doesn't turn it into like one of his Twitter things where it's like every 5 seconds he's got a BlackBerry and he's like, and he's just, going nuts. But anyway, I appreciate your kind attention. You guys hung out with me tonight. So like I usually say, eat good, keep it tender, as always, you know what, you love it. And I kindly appreciate your good attention on me. And you guys hanging out with me tonight. I'm going to break up this one. See you guys. And